like to dance in the rain. Head back, arms out. I like to dance in the rain. Wash away.
Hello, folks. I'm Amber.
And I'm Tony.
Welcome to
Salem, I'm hit.
Episode 14. Riddle me this, Batman.
So at one of the Comic-Cons that they just had, whichever one, probably the big one, they announced the Batman Superman movie, and the internet said, "Really?" and got really excited, right?
Live action or animation?
Live action.
Okay.
Instead of doing like just a regular, sequel with Henry Cavill from Man of Steel, they're just gonna, fuck it, Batman Superman. Trying to hurry up and suck up the juice left over from the Dark Knight trilogy and, Man of Steel. See, I wasn't trying to get excited for the movie because lately every time I get excited, the movie then doesn't come out for like 2 years, and then by the time it comes out, I don't give a shit no more.
Yeah.
That overhype thing that they have going on. Well, like, are you excited about it? You just heard about it. Do you feel excited about a Batman Superman movie?
Are they, what are they just, is this going to be its own thing? Because the way they kind of did the Batman, sit there, you know what I'm saying? Because the way they kind of left it, because I haven't seen Man of Steel, but, so I don't care. But, the way they left Batman off, sit there, be more like, Terry McGinnis, Batman, Superman,
Yeah, to cover up the whole Robin problem and everything. But,
yeah.
No. This is, they're trying to jump to, it seems like they're trying to jump to the, Dark Knight Returns pretty much, where Batman and Superman fight, because they were making a big deal, well, some of the people involved were making a big deal about Batman and Superman fighting.
No, they're friends unless Superman's corrupted by red kryptonite, unless they're going to go off that story, because other than that, because they know who each other are. Of course, Superman cheated, but, because Batman's Batman.
Well, no, because in the story, in the story where Batman and Superman fought, Superman was kind of stupid, and he just did what government told him to capture Batman, and it was dumb. Because they just kind of completely dumbed. They made Superman less likable to me than he already was, and they fought for no fucking reason.
Sit there, because red kryptonite, Thursday does turn him into, for lack of a better word, Kal-El.
Yeah.
Sit there, he's like, in Kal-El's its own personality, sit there, which is usually, brought on by the red kryptonite. Sit there, because red kryptonite just makes him, makes him basically lose his morals, more or less.
Yeah, less
he
human.
don't give a damn.
Well, like,
yeah.
The thing that, it's going to be a completely different Batman, because Nolan's Batman universe was all, nobody has powers, it's grounded in reality, all da-da-da-da-da. That's why he didn't like Robin. But, like, Man of Steel and Nolan's Batman universe can't coexist. So I can see them, dump it, not picking Christian Bale as
they would
Batman.
have to go off they would have to go back off the, the original series of Batman movies. See, they would have done that, say, before all this Batman Begins bullshit. Sit there, that'd been, because that is what I did like about the Batman Begins series, is they didn't wasn't what's the word I'm looking for?
I'm just gonna leave you hanging to mess with you.
Yeah. But sit there over the top, sit there, built, they're like in fucking half the Batman movies, he's running the Batman Batmobile over the top of buildings, sit there, just all nice and set up, all the buildings, were fucking bigger than the god, every building's twice the size of the Twin Towers, kind of bullshit, sit there, they kept it more as fuck ass, kind of more or less in New York, basically New York City or Chicago, really Chicago, more like designed like off Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it wasn't so over the top there, to keep with but to bring Batman in with that's pretty much how they would have to go off that series.
Yeah, well, they tried to, like, just adjust and pick parts of the original Superman movies when they did Superman Returns. But, it was Superman Returns. So because that attempt already failed, they decided to do the reboot with Man of Steel and make a pretty much Elseworld Superman. Because due to his human dad not being the same, being completely opposite of what he was, it kind of made Man of Steel a completely different Superman, and pretty much like he's an alternate universe from the one that we dealt with all our lives. He's a little darker and grittier, which, doesn't go with Superman, because Superman and Batman are supposed to be kind of opposites until they work together.
Yeah.
But whatever. Fuck it. Apparently. This would be an appropriate point for me to say, man, fuck yeah. But.
The fuck yeah.
But it just doesn't have any impact if I say it today. It's just not good enough.
Yeah.
But the big to do today is that they cast who's going to play Batman in Batman vs Superman. Well, what we're tentatively calling Batman vs Superman right now. Now,
yeah.
I'll give you 5 guesses about who Batman is. Go for it. Have fun. Huh?
Somebody new, right?
Just guess. I'll give you 5 guesses.
Let's see. It would be nice if they actually bring in the guy from Smallville, because I would like to see Batman whoop his ass.
As would everybody that ever saw any of Smallville.
Yeah, but that's my pick for see Batman. Actually, see, that's what I don't want to be put funny. They brought him in for Batman. That'd be fucking hilarious.
He's such a little guy, and he would never look good in a suit. Okay, second guess.
He's a decent size. He's a decent sized guy.
He looked like shit in the Superman suit, dude. Like utter shit when they put him in the suit in the
that's because the Superman suit looked like shit. No, because he's built pretty well. Let's see, because somebody I heard, that would actually, I might actually fuck around and actually, accidentally name.
Yeah, well, you know who this person is.
Okay. Russell Crowe.
No, but that's kind of closer.
Shit. I always get those two idiots fucking mixed up. Robin Hood and the guy who played Robin Hood and
Carrey always.
And
the only Robin Hood with an English accent.
No.
Oh, Kevin Costner.
Yeah, and the Kevin Cage.
Nicolas Cage. Yeah.
Nicolas Cage.
No, that you. How many guesses was that?
That was 3.
Okay, I was hoping it was 3. The news disheartened me so much that I found a bottle of wine. Let's put it that way.
Let's see. He's Mel Gibson. No, that's it there. I was surprised they didn't try to bring him in for Jor-El. Because Jor-El's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, that would kind of be pretty. Well, they might still do that,
Because for real, Jor-El's a fucking asshole. See, that's another thing. Okay, sit there. Fucking Brainiac. Bring that back to me later.
What? Bring what back to you later?
Brainiac.
Oh. James Marsters?
No, but bring that. But no, sit there. That's not my. That wasn't a guess. No, just bring that to me. Bring that back to me later. That's another thing I want to touch on. That's another thing I want to rant about Superman movies.
Yeah, I know all the Brainiac exposure, and he's never brought up ever.
Yeah. Because that would be especially in today's age and shit.
Okay, save it. Okay, make your penultimate guess.
What?
Yeah, you got one more, right?
No. James Masters wasn't a guess.
Okay.
He's way too fucking skinny. He's skinnier than Austin.
He can only play Immortal, so I guess if he wasn't Superman, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
He only plays people that don't die.
No. See, he'd be a good Brainiac or a good Zod.
He was already a good Brainiac, wasn't he? Wasn't he a decent Brainiac in the show?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking, movie-wise. Or you want to bring him to the movies? I think he'd make a really good Zod for real.
Yeah, but he was already that guy that I'm never gonna remember. So.
Who's the other biggest douche? Fuck Ashton Kutcher?
No. You know what? I wouldn't even want to ever have the show anymore. I'd be done because that would be the only thing I'd be able to talk about forever would be that fucking Ashton Kutcher was fucking Batman. And then I think I'd go ride in the streets.
In a go-kart.
There's a go-kart nearby too. I know exactly what go-kart I'd take.
Exactly.
The plan's already made. Okay, you got one more.
Not the dude to play Conan, is it?
Which Conan?
Conan the new Conan.
Oh, Jason Momoa?
movie.
He's not white enough. You know they wouldn't let him. He's way too dark for them to let him be Batman. We discussed this in the last show.
Well, see, that would actually be the only way Batman could not be white. He'd have to actually be more or less be Indian or something. Because Indian, you're either in India, you're either fucking rich as fuck or broke or poor or homeless. Being from a family of privilege and giving him a reason to be over here and over there and here and there, and had the bank account to actually back some of this shit up because hell, why not? When you got, because hell, half the shit was
from China. But he's like Hawaiian, so he's probably, I think he's Samoan.
Yeah, still, hell, you throw a red dot on comic book, sit there, white people are stupid. Fuck Johnny, hell, Johnny Depp's an Indian, come on.
Really, he just floated that line and was like, yep. I've never given the side eye to Johnny Depp like that. And he's played some random shit.
Really, sit there, Johnny Depp is Robin. He's too old now. Johnny, although he would make a good villain, if John Carrey couldn't do the come back as Riddler, he'd make it. I think he'd make it. Johnny Depp might actually make a decent Riddler. He's almost charismatic enough.
I don't know. I don't think anybody wants to touch Riddler because Jim Carrey was such a crazy Riddler that it's carried over. Yeah,
like I said, I wish that they would bring him back for this last series. Yeah.
But Riddler was too ridiculous for Nolan, even though he thought it was perfectly fine to fuck up other characters.
But like I said, Persona, because he was, his Riddler was so well. But given the Persona, especially as dark as these movies try to be, sit there. Hell, his Riddler, would have still fit in well with the flow of these movies.
Yeah, because his Riddler was dark.
Yeah, his real, and posed the questions,
Yeah, unlike, even though Jack Nicholson's Joker was popular, he just really wasn't very Joker. So it was totally okay to cover up his Joker with something else. Yeah. But Carrey was so Riddler and dark at the same time, you're like, don't fucking touch that.
That's what I was saying. I wish they could have brought him back into it.
They could have just used clips of the same footage. I wouldn't even have cared.
Yeah, really.
They could have copied and pasted the third Batman movie out of this stuff.
Probably would have been better. Because that was episode, Star Wars Episode 1. You didn't, it was so much, there was so much in there nobody cared. There's seriously it's 2.5 hours long and there's an hour and a half in there of stupid shit. Stuff you don't even need. You can fucking, basically, you watch the first 20 minutes and the last 20 minutes of the damn movie. That's all you fucking need. You didn't.
It lost me at Batman quit, so I don't even know.
That's why I said,
Yeah.
Now he didn't sit there. Quit per se. He got his ass whooped.
Nah, he fucking.
And he had, sit there, say just like you can, fucking Bane whooped his ass, fucked his back up, just like he's.
No, but he had quit for years before that.
Yeah. The second movie left a perfect set, was a better setup for Batman Beyond and what, this bullshit was.
It said they built up that he was going to be hunted down.
Well, see, because see, at okay, well, spoiler alert, because at the end of the movie, I sit there, she's all, he goes to claim his stuff. I know, I'm not really sure. This chick's all, you should use your real name, Robin.
Yeah, whatever.
And then, I'm like, and that really, sit there, cause then he finds the Batcave, and then me, that
I
was,
saw him finding the Batcave on YouTube. That's all I got. No, like the end of the second movie, like it just set up Batman is being hunted by the police, like some of the comics, and it was just like, okay, whatever, just business as usual for Batman. But then when they came back in the beginning of the third movie, they were like, he hasn't been Batman for like 8 years, and I was like, that's not Batman.
Really? No, that's when fucking Terry McGinnis fucking that is when Terry fucking pops up. It is like 10 years later.
Yeah, no, 10 years later after he got too old to be moving around.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But there, like I said, the second movie, was a better setup for somebody to take over for Batman, and the third movie even thought about being.
Yeah.
That there should, when the Dark Knight Rises, it should have really been somebody else.
Well,
as he says in the first movie, Bat, it's a symbol. As a symbol, you can do it the fuck ever you want.
Yeah.
He said, they laid that down in the first movie.
And then they proceeded to lay down more stuff.
As a man, he can be blackmailed, threatened, killed. As a symbol, you're more or less immortal.
Yeah. But they decided to throw all that in the garbage.
Yeah. That was a way better setup. And then the way they ended the second movie, perfect for Terry McGinnis to come in.
Yeah, but nobody ever wants to do
especially
that.
Especially if they're going to bring the shit back 10 years later. 8 years, whatever. So, but, he'll sit there and, hell, in the course of the movie, takes up 3 goddamn years. So,
Yeah, it should have totally been, hey, this teenager, I'm going to help him be Batman, but whatever. No, you wasted all your guest time with people that are way more plausible people to be Batman. Okay, except Nicolas Cage, but Nicolas Cage was almost Superman, so...
Well, Nicolas Cage is really pissed off he wasn't Superman.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Nicolas Cage was almost Superman, so let's just,
Yeah. That's why I said that.
Oh, his Superman outfit. Oh my God.
And then his outfit in Kick-Ass. Or is that the other guy? See, like I said,
no, Nicolas Cage was a dad and was a Hit Girl's dad in Kick-Ass.
Yeah, see, because that was he looked he filled out that costume pretty well. I mean, you can tell it's supposed to be kind of cartoonish, so that's why.
Yeah, but Superman's supposed to have hair.
That's why it worked for him. He just make a bad Bruce Wayne.
And Superman's supposed to have hair, and nobody believes that he has hair.
Yeah.
The suspension of belief that he has wonderful genes.
Yeah, well, see, that's what yeah. Of course, if you're a fucking billionaire, it don't matter you're fucking bald.
No, I'm just saying though. I mean, like the audience cannot suspend their belief that Nicolas Cage has hair.
Yeah.
And that stupid fucking suit.
Although he would actually make a better Lex Luthor. See, I think he would make a good Lex Luthor. They're gonna fucking keep going with that theme.
I mean, bald isn't a stretch for everybody's imagination, is it?
Yeah. Let him run around with a shade.
You're dodging the reveal because you're scared.
Yeah.
You sure you're ready? Because you've been stalling.
See, is he a natural brunette? I probably surely should have been one of them.
Is he a natural brunette? Is your question?
Yep. Well, one of these little pretty blonde guys, you can't, fucking Batman is not, they made James Bond a pretty blonde guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I think he's a natural brunette, probably.
Brad Pitt.
No, that would have been way better.
Because you know how much I hate Brad
but Brad
Pitt.
Brad Pitt can act on occasion.
Brad Pitt, Brad Pitt made one decent movie 30 years ago.
No, every now and again he'll he'll do a good acting job. He just doesn't have to, so he doesn't. He doesn't have to every time, so why not show up, take a paycheck, go home.
Yeah, especially and all sit there. I thought it was hilarious. Fucking Troy fucking bombed.
My brother loves the crap out of Troy. I will never understand.
You know, sit there and he runs around practically naked that whole goddamn movie, and that fucking movie bombed. You know, all he went around, oh, Brad Pitt, and he'd run around all hot and sweaty and practically naked this whole damn movie, and it bombed.
But like, it probably would have done better if they'd been
weird.
more loyal to the story. You know, how it wasn't his cousin, it was some dude he was banging. It probably would have been way more popular. He'd have had a Brokeback hit on his hands. That dude probably was his cousin too, though. You know how they rolled. Okay. Ben Affleck is Batman.
Because he's too old.
He's supposed to be the older Bruce Wayne in the comics when Batman fought Superman, Batman was older, Superman was younger.
He can't be Batman, he's Daredevil.
That's what I thought for a second. It's like, but then Chris Evans,
But I mean, hell.
Captain America and the Human Torch are the same dude, so.
Yeah.
And then there's that other guy that's like 8 motherfuckers in comics.
I started to say Ben Affleck. No, actually, I was out there, you mean Matt Damon's not Superman? Who's playing Superman?
Henry Cavill. It's still part of the canon of, it's still part of Man of Steel's canon. It's just like not part of the Dark Knight trilogy. It's like different Batman. So according to the press release, he's supposed to bring a whole new energy to the character because he's older and wiser and not from the same universe as the Nolan's Batman. So if they make Batman the upbeat guy, I don't know if I like this universe. If Batman's the light in the room with a dark and dreary Superman, we're all fucked. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But Ben Affleck was the bomb at Phantom Show.
I was going to say that.
I was waiting on you. You just didn't say it. But yeah. I mean, and they want to go with an older Batman. But Ben Affleck doesn't really look that much older than Henry Cavill. Even though he is older, he just doesn't have the look on his face that he's older.
No, sit there. I mean, they was wanting to do that. Hell, I, almost gone with fucking, Mark Hamill's he's not big enough, but, sit there, hell,
What, Mark Shepard? Because that would have been kind of awesome.
That's the dude from Sons of Anarchy, right?
No, Mark Shepard's the hardest working motherfucker in television. The dude that was in everything.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, and Leverage and Supernatural, the dude who was
yeah,
I didn't watch Supernatural, so I'm trying to think of it.
Yeah, no, I know you maybe he would make an excellent Lex too. Yeah, because he's such an excellent bad guy.
Yeah.
Without getting all physical and everything, but that's my that's been my other problem with again with the Superman movies. They always portray Lex as a fucking idiot.
And they never show him throwing down
a bungling idiot. Apparently he's smart, so sit there had did all that. You're watching the movies, you're like, really, this guy almost took over the world, really? Of course, well then when you think about it, yeah, I can see this guy almost taking over the damn world, but still, because he is a fucking idiot. I mean, fuck.
Yeah. We'll be watching the movie Ass in about 10 minutes.
Yeah. But, but yes, sit there, that they just fucking made Lex, half as badass in the fucking movies as they do in, the cartoons or the video games,
Yeah.
But there,
and Mark Shepard could rock that.
Yeah. But there, he can, be badass without having to do nothing, sit there, whoop his
But
ass.
let's go back over the fact that I'm still reeling from Ben Affleck being Batman. I mean, Ben Affleck is usually Ben Affleck in a movie.
Yeah. Condescending asshole.
Just Ben Affleck. But
like I said, what's that booty trance?
I could see him being a somewhat alright Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce. He'd be an alright Bruce Wayne, but he just doesn't have that style, style on his, that, brooding, I guess, lack of a better word, the brooding look, the Batman has. I mean, that's one thing that, what the fuck was that idiot in Batman Begins name? Which
Bale.
yeah. So there, his voice sucked, but
Terrible.
he did look good in the costume. He had that look, I will fucking kill you look on his face.
Yeah, but his costume wasn't great, so they can work on the costume again. But like, Ben Affleck doesn't have that my eyes narrow and you pee your pants look.
Yeah.
At all.
Exactly. Because even his pissed off looking Daredevil's kind of, I think I can take it. you know what I mean?
That was the entirety of Daredevil, not just the.
Because Batman's supposed to look at you and you're like, oh fuck, bye. Sit there, Daredevil. I mean, he looked, his Daredevil, but it's like, I think I can take you. Look,
Yeah. Like, you can't really see me. I could totally beat you up.
Yeah.
But yeah, and when I first heard it, like, it didn't hit me right away. I was just like, oh, really? And now it's like, oh, Ben Affleck is really going to be Batman. And I'm like, this is Clooney Batman all over again.
Yeah.
If this motherfucker has nipples, I will never, ever watch a Batman movie ever again. Not live action Batman movies, I'm done. If this motherfucker has nipples, I'm done. I will stick to cartoons forever. Because those are good. Why did they get the people that write the cartoons to write the fucking live action movies?
Yeah, that's what that runner stood. Like I said, you watch Superman movies, Lex Luthor's a fucking idiot. The Batman movies and till this last run were, fucking, like I said, this over the top stupid bullshit. Where you're just like, really,
And it's not like they have like really in-depth, technical budgets. They could totally do the movies that they do in cartoon in live action. I mean, they spent all that money on the giant shit monster in Green Lantern, so.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, you wanted to talk about Brainiac.
Yeah, so, like I said, going back, for a decent villain for the Superman movies, still always, a dumbass Lex Luthor. I sit there, even, hell, even in the fucking Superman Returns, or actually, really, even the,
Man of
Lex
Steel.
Luthor
was kind of hinted at coming in at the end of Man of Steel, even though Zod was the main villain.
Yeah, yeah, as I said, like I said, I don't know who the main villain was in Man of Steel.
It was Zod. Because people only know two villains in Superman, Zod and Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Even though that Smallville show was on forever, nobody remembers anybody else.
No. I said, fucking Smallville's Doomsday sucked.
Smallville's everything sucked. But what did you want to whine about Brainiac for? Just having Brainiac in a movie at all?
Yeah, I mean, sit there, cause especially, I mean, I understand the 80s, they was limited on a bunch of shit. I mean, but now, especially way now, everything connects and everything. I mean, but, yeah, fucking Brainiac could very easily taken over the world today. Sit there, I mean, just like, kind of like, how they played on it in Smallville, it's like, no, sit there, I push one button, the world goes dark. Push.
He pushed the red button!
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Ben Affleck's too old to be that, but too young to be the old,
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. That was the other reason I was like, really?
Cause I was going to say, hell, they wanted to get, make an, older Batman, hell, bring in the dude from, NCIS. Gibbs.
Yeah, exactly.
Cause Gibbs is fucking Batman.
I can see that.
And that would give way more fucking credibility about whooping Superman's ass than Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck will say it now. Really? Gibbs whooping Superman's ass. Yeah. Because he was so already had the Kryptonite out. Kryptonite laced gloves.
Kryptonite laced outfit draws. But Ben Affleck going, what the fuck is Kryptonite? You can totally see him asking that question.
Yeah. Because, Ben Affleck's like, what, 3 years older than I am?
I'm looking him up now because I don't know.
I want to say 68 at the,
He is not 68. Oh, no, okay, yeah. Yeah, no.
1968.
Nope, he's the same age as you. 72. August 15th, 72.
Yeah, so yeah, he's definitely way too old to be playing.
Yeah, he's too young to be playing
you know.
old wise Batman. Because, like, you know what? Old wise Batman is supposed to be at least 50 or 60. Because he doesn't necessarily jump around, and do stuff. He has the mega power suit. So, you know what? Well, actually, I would say 50. 60 would be pushing it.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's about 60, 70 when he in the according or looking in the in
I'd
the
say
Batman
70,
Beyond
80
stuff.
pushing in the Batman Beyond. That's why I'm like, well, 50 makes more sense. But he's still too young.
Yeah, because I could see him retiring at or almost I could see him almost shooting somebody at 50. Because at 50 you're like, oh, God,
As rich as he was, I can see him retiring at 60. I mean, just considering right now.
Yeah, because he would be in that kind of shape.
Yeah, I mean, he's rich too, so.
Sit there, in that kind of shape where, 60 is not, okay, he might be, almost breaking the gun out about,
Yeah, because, I mean, he's ripped because he goes out every night.
Because it is supposed to be 10, was it like supposed to be like 10, 15 years, because it's supposed to be a while where Batman is pretty much all but gone and forgotten, so it may even closer to 20 years.
Well, I can see him stopping at about 60 because he was pretty much white haired, but he's like a ripped 60.
Yeah, I mean, well, hell, that one dude that did them all the fucking juicer commercials for fucking years. Hell, he sit there. He was fucking, he's fucking.
Yeah, there's like 80-year-old porn stars in Japan.
Fucking, yeah.
Yeah, and Liam Neeson is totally believable as the dude that whoops everybody's ass in the Taken movies. So, and how old is Liam Neeson?
Cause hell, he was the. That's right. Yeah, he was fucking with rock.
61.
Yes, I put him at 60. At 60.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I can see him still being. I can still see Batman being Batman, wrapping it up though at the time.
Yeah, like I said, between 60 and 65. Like I said, because like I say, his in shape as he would be, like I say, he's rich. I mean, I still take, that's still hard on the body.
Yeah, but I mean, he could buy really good Band-Aids
like that. But yeah, exactly. But I'm just, even with the all the extra special stuff, like I said, about 60, 65, like I said, he's like, yeah, it's time to hang it up.
Yeah, and even by the time he was 60, he was still using the enhancement suit, the big metal one. So the one he was using off and on when he was helping Terry McGinnis.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I sit there about how old he was. I sit there because then it was like I said, back it's supposed to be what 10. I can't remember. It's supposed to be 10, 15, 20 years later. It says it. I've seen.
Yeah, I just watched the show like not even a month ago, and I think it's somewhere between 10 and 15. I don't know. I don't think it specifically states it either. It just kind of.
Because like I said to me, because he's all but said all but pretty much forgotten about.
It could be between 15 and 20 because of how old Carrey is.
Batgirl's is the commissioner, although she was the commissioner's daughter, but now she's an old commissioner. She's like she's supposed to be 50ish.
Yeah.
Judging by the hair. So I said, and like I'd say they didn't really go into how old she was when all that shit went away.
No, they just kind of vagued it out because.
Yeah, so there, well, like I said, they just concentrated on him. He's like no more, and and he put everything up, and then he's an old man with a he's an old man with a cane,
Yep.
Still whooping everybody's ass. Yeah.
Yeah. His Batman voice is probably going to be better, but it's still going to be weird.
His Daredevil voice wasn't too bad, but course, now we're talking 15 years later.
Yeah.
10 years later.
I wish they would just, whoever plays Batman, just have them use the correct Batman voice.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
Just have him show up, record the Batman vocals, and leave.
Yeah.
I think that would make everyone happy.
Yeah, because sit there, cause yeah.
Yeah, but it
But
wasn't
Michael Keaton
the
had decent
voice.
Batman voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He,
I said decent.
He didn't try to chew on a bunch of rocks. No. He just tried to make his voice a little deeper.
Yeah. Although actually, sit there, they would, call it what it is, call the, all that money he couldn't come up with a fucking, voice synthesizer or
I know, all that money into the outfit, and he couldn't put a little modulator in the front. I don't understand.
where he just said, citizen, halt and deceased, kind of bullshit.
But seriously though, he had the cowl all over his face, but he couldn't get the little bitty $5 voice modulator stick on the throat of the cowl.
Yeah.
As much money as he put in that fucking suit. But no. I want, if Ben Affleck's, gonna be Batman, they need to give us some fan service and just have Kevin Conroy show up and record and overdub all the Batman lines. I think everybody that's like, oh my god, it's Ben Affleck would be like, whatever, Kevin Conroy's winning the voice. Because Kevin Conroy's Batman. Actually, you know what? Why didn't they just cast Kevin Conroy? But he's old enough. He could totally have played Batman, the older Batman, in a live action movie. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
See you guys next time on
Salem, I'm hit.
You can find Amber online at amberspence.org and twitter.com/amberandspence. If you want to get a hold of Tony online, good luck with that. Check us out at salemomhit.tumblr.com if you're not there already.
I like to dance.